Thanks and good afternoon everybody. Welcome to the Technology and Innovation session. I hope you enjoyed everything you saw this morning, found it inspiring so far. I'm going to assume from your decision to join this stream that both technology and innovation are at the heart of your agendas, and today I hope to touch on some of the themes that get you to the heart of both. My name is Toby and I'm the Chief Executive of the Library. The Library was formed nearly 40 years ago as a conference and event agency. Safe to say that in the events industry at least, that makes us pretty well established, and we've been around for quite a long time, perhaps not quite as long as he is, but get the gist. Along the way we've worked with almost every government department and arm's length body, a number of FTSE 100 companies, charities, institutions and associations, and to this day we still do, but there's a great deal that's changed along the way. I'd like to think that we're in the forefront of that change and continue to be a thought leader in the field of digital events and event technology. About 15 years ago, we began to appreciate what a difference the effective use of technology can make to an event. We realised how powerful the right tools used in the right way can be for genuinely engaging audiences, acquiring data and intelligence, reducing costs in terms of travel, accommodation, and by linking up remote audiences, and in turn reducing the environmental impact of events. At the time, there were only a handful of event agencies, I think, with both the clients and the demand who turned to the technology market to see what they could find. And with us, we wanted just a few simple things: to get people connected pre-event, to enable voting in session, and to continue to connect remote audiences with one another by video conference or webcast. We began to develop a real vision for the way event technologies can and ultimately should transform the world of events. But the truth is, once we tried and tested some of the solutions we found in the market, what we saw was somewhat of a disconnect, a failed marriage between events and technology. The marriage wasn't working for two reasons. The products weren't right for event planners, and the event planners themselves weren't ready to use them. So let's start with the latter, the event planners, the event professionals. We found that only a small number of event communications professionals were open to making the most of technologies at the time. And there was and continues to be a degree of hesitation to embrace this technology, and for an understandable reason. It means changing the way you do things. Many people are afraid of change. The fact is, when you have a system that works, it can be hard to see why you should bother changing it. Many of our clients have been running their annual conference, award ceremonies, training events the same way for decades. And probably most importantly was the perception of risk. The risk that engaging online audiences, in addition to those in the room, you're expanding yourself out to many thousands of people if you're doing webcasts. Adopting digital equivalents of paper presses means opening the doors to quite large potential failure. Lastly, event planners feel that incorporating technology will ultimately increase their workload rather than reducing it. But taking all of this into account, there's one lesson we've learned from the recent quite large recession, is that we can't afford to keep doing things the same old way. There is a hole in the industry, a lack of skill, lack of education and awareness about this real need that the industry has. Without change, you have stagnation. Never a good thing for any marriage. So let's have a look at the other half of marriage, the products. The current solutions on the market just aren't must-haves for the event industry just yet. Not for the event organisers, the exhibitors, the sponsors, and most importantly, in my opinion, the delegates. Without being overly harsh, I feel that at best, many current digital solutions function like replacements or supplements for existing practices. At worst, they're glossy, glamorous, and sometimes unnecessary additions to an event. I wanted a picture of a jazzer up there, but I wasn't allowed. Not mine. It was this issue which drove us to become the first event company to focus almost exclusively in the digital field. We have over the last 10 years, developed our own suite of integrated digital technologies, audience engagement solutions, delegate management systems, event apps, webcast and video conferencing link-up events. We like to think of ourselves as a perfect marriage between event management and excellent event technology. But this isn't about us. I wanted to pursue my suggestion that the event technologies still aren't things which everyone feels they need. They still have a status, those glossy extras. I began with the suggestion that most event technologies only seek to replace or replicate rather than enhance things we've always been able to do. And I'm not suggesting this is a bad thing in any way. In most cases, the digital equivalent of task is often far more efficient than its paper-based alternative. But let's just take a quick snapshot of the event technology industry out there at the moment. Audience engagement technologies, as they typically are used, simply replace microphones and maybe a show of hands. Event apps replace paper agendas, document printouts. I don't know how many people have downloaded the event app today. Show of hands? About 10%. The networking features and private messaging replace traditional face-to-face networking. Online registration sites replace paper invites and obviously those enormous Excel documents that we used to fill in. You know, I'm not suggesting that that's strictly all that technologies are capable of, only this is by and large how they use the event industry. So why do they just replicate rather than enhance the event experience? I believe the reason things have worked out this way is generally because people adopt an objective-led approach of using technologies. And here I'm talking about both sides of the marriage. It's both the event technology providers and the event organisers. It's alarming how often we get approached by event organisers saying, our chief executive have told us we need to use iPads at the very last minute, so what can you do for us? They bring technology as the last piece of the puzzle, when really it ought to be thought about from the outset. Cue the image of the frantic event organiser who's just found him or herself with one more thing to think about, one more hassle to manage amid the chaos. Then there's the bored exhibitor, wondering why their expensive publicity in the event app hasn't sent footfall their way. In fact, they have no idea who's in the exhibition at any one time. And then, of course, you have the delegates themselves, the ones who only find out halfway through the day that there even is an event app. It's down there at the bottom of the agenda. Can we blame them? No. Delegates must want to get their phone out of their pocket and engage, and we must create a need for that to happen. We must give them something that they can't live without. Solution? Well, I believe it starts with the delegates. Without these guys, using the technology, you're not going to get any data or return from the investment. So let's stop and think a moment, and I think it's important we think about who these people are, because they don't all have the same relationship with the technology. First, they're the over 50s. These are very general slides, but these are currently the fastest adopters of things like Facebook, Skype, and other social media, increasingly less afraid to indulge the benefits of the digital world. These guys are your highest demographic of app users because they still feel the add-ons are cool. They're still a novelty value for these people. Then there are the 40 to 50-year-olds, age bracket characterised by the midlife crisis, with a fast sports car or the luxury watch, but not necessarily an iPad or a new Samsung S5. This demographic has been brought up in a time where pressing the flesh and face-to-face networking outweighed a social media frenzy of our next generation. Are we offering them something which is a must-have? I want to call these people, and I'm included here, as the reluctant delegates. A generation who by and large got lost in translation between a world where things happen face-to-face and a generation who grew up using technology as second nature. We're a difficult bunch. But an important bunch and one of the largest sectors in the delegate mix. These guys would rather pretend to be on their mobile phone or be tied up in a very important email or over actually chatting to anybody in a networking session. Now we come to the 20 or 30-year-olds. The millennial delegate finds paper an outdated medium, who is in some ways more accustomed to virtual working than face-to-face. These guys are ones to watch. At an event, they expect to have what they want, when they want it, and how they want to see it. They expect the ability to change the content of an event throughout the day, and they want agile agendas which allow them to flip between sessions at will. Oh, and if you get it wrong for these guys, at best, they're simply going to get up and walk out mid-session. At worst, they'll sit there tweeting of how crap your presentation is. Of course, I'm generalising here, but whatever grain of truth there is in my characterisation of these different generations leaves us with the following questions. How do you integrate a technology that works for all these delegate types? How do you make your event technology a must-have? Well, you know, with enough creativity and endless budget, there are many ways, but for now, I want to share with you one such way. To do this, I want you to put yourselves in the shoes of a delegate that's just arrived at your event, and so it's now time for a bit of audience participation. Don't be afraid, but I want you all to close your eyes for a moment. Breathe slowly, and just visualise this walkthrough. You arrive at the entrance of an event you've been invited to. You receive a message on your phone welcoming you to the conference and offering you the option to sign in via your mobile phone, enabling you to bypass the reg desk. Did you really want to receive yet another badge and a lanyard? Why do we still have those things? I don't know. Once you've registered, an interactive floor plan is pushed to your phone and tells you how to get to the refreshment and networking area. Once you've got your coffee, you're able to select an option which matches you with other delegates in your vicinity who complement your profile. Think about business speed dating with you in control of who you meet and why. The next message is pushed to all delegates, asking them the plenary is starting. Once again, an interactive map is provided showing you, wherever you are in the building, where to go. And when you get there, you're pushed a copy of the speaker's slides. Come to your first break, and a virtual discussion zone has been placed on the area map. Simply by standing in one of these zones, you automatically indicate to other delegates that you'd like to engage in a similar conversation. If there's a particular person or group that you want to meet, the interactive floor plan shows you exactly where they are within the building and gives you the option to request an appointment with any of them. So now it's breakout time. You enter the designated room. You receive a notification that your presence has been noted, and you will accordingly receive the corresponding CPD points. And of course, if you're in the wrong room, the event team will be alerted and you will be guided to your correct session. Whilst a scenario like this might sound a little far-fetched, it shouldn't. The technology is out there. You can open your eyes. A bit dangerous doing that after lunch, I know. Still with me. We've known for some time that intelligent indoor positioning systems were the way forward for events industry, and our question was always finding a way of making them work. We recently found that way using Bluetooth low-energy beacon technology. And for those of you unfamiliar with BLE beacons, they're a class of discrete battery-operated devices which communicate with your phone or tablet. There's two of them on the screen now. They now come in very small, kind of 50p type pieces, and they're that thin as well. Using this beacon technology, we can generate very comprehensive indoor positioning systems throughout venues of any size and scale. Think of Google Maps, but instead of giving you a location of maybe 10 meters, this will offer a position inside the building to the nearest couple of feet, and that's getting better and better week by week. Of course, the actual floor plan map is described, designed, and detailed as you like. It's completely under your control rather than using a Google map. Now the technical bit. How do we use iBeacons to create indoor positioning systems? Most smartphones and tablets are capable of determining their distance from a beacon through the strength of the transmission received from it. The distance between the transmitting beacon and receiving device is categorized into three distinct ranges. There's immediate, which is almost like near-field communication down to the nearest couple of inches. There's near, which is within a couple of meters, and far, which is what we class as 10 meters to 100 meters away. Each beacon broadcast has the ability to approximate when a user is entered or exited or lingered in a region for any particular time. Depending on a customer's proximity to a beacon, they're able to receive different levels of interaction at each of these ranges. All this information is sent to two servers, one which recognises who you are, and the second which relates positioning to the correct floor plan. All this is then sent back to your device to find your position or the position of any other delegate, exhibitor, stand, speaker, sponsor, toilet, you name it, you can find it. I believe that indoor positioning systems really are unique in the way they bring a wealth of intelligence right to the fingertips of everyone involved, starting with your delegates. They can effortlessly orientate themselves at your conference or exhibition. They can find out where their conferences are at any given time. They can navigate their way to areas of interest. They can check themselves into a discussion without doing anything. Each beacon, it's not just the delegates who will benefit from this, however, consider how things will change for exhibitors. Delegates are profiled either pre-event or as a number of welcome questions when they arrive during asking them what they're interested in and what types of products they'd like to see. And exhibitors can then be alerted when a delegate arrives who matches their product base or is interested in their product. And then they can, in real time, easily determine when delegates with relevant interests or profiles are nearby. And this will maximise their sales efficiency and allow them to engage with the right people. This image is a simple exhibition stand having alerts of people walking around them who are interested in that particular stand. They have an instant means of communicating directly with delegates interested in their products using targeted push notifications, which only delegates of a certain kind who are interested in their products will receive. Of course, as event managers, something you can turn off or allow only exhibitors who pay a premium to push 1 or 2 messages out per day. And of course, for the event organiser, there's a multitude of valuable data, accurate and insightful data throughout the track forward of exhibition stands, sessions, breakout and plenary rooms, tracking specific delegate types through their profile, and again, more efficient communication with audiences, selective push notifications designed to reach specific delegate types, which can now be dependent on the location that they are in the venue. Has anyone wants to speak it before? I am. Just one option. The list is endless. Now, your first reaction might be that this is just a step too far. Delegates are just getting used to the idea of an event happens, let alone indoor positioning. But I'd urge you to think precisely the other way around. Start with something that matters to your delegates, something that gives them a real reason to engage. I believe the rest will follow naturally. With indoor positioning, we're not still talking about glossy extras or unnecessary substitutes. It's not something you could replace with a flip chart or a microphone. We're talking about technology which opens doors for delegates that have never been opened before. And it's an insight in their surroundings which will change the way they approach the event experience. And if we can provide a must-have for delegates, we have a product which will be of high value to sponsors and exhibitors, giving them valuable real-time and historical data, with the potential to create significant revenue. And of course, all this comes back to many of you, the event professionals. For our part, we're excited to see what the power of indoor positioning technology will do to strengthen the marriage between events and event technology. Thanks for listening. I'm here for questions. I don't know how long. 10 minutes for questions. Hi.
Hi. Could you say something about privacy? Could you say something about privacy since it's a very hot topic? It's not going to go away. If anything, it's a boom area in digital technologies. Do people want you to know when they're going to the loo? Is this going to be a problem?
It is something we've thought about, and there will always be an option of turning yourself off. This location position comes with our app at the moment, and will come with many other apps that are going to be out there in the foreseeable future. it's very easy to turn a delegate off, or if they choose not to be located in the session, my question back to you would be, should they then be allowed to find other people? It should be a two-way street, in my opinion. There are locations in a venue where we don't have to map and delegates can disappear, I would suggest. Toilet is one of those, bedrooms can be another, you know, if you're looking for two people at the same time, it might be a good idea to find where they are. I think, you know, we're all traced. We've got Google Maps on our phone. A lot of people are being tracked wherever they go nowadays anyway. This is just taking it indoors. So while, yes, people will be a little bit touchy at the beginning, I think, you know, as things move on, they'll see that the benefits outweigh why they don't want to be tracked around the venue.
If I could ask a quick follow-up question. I'm in an agency where the value of this kind of solution is probably not understood, I fear. What kind of business do you get? For example, most people have a smartphone, it's true, but not every participant in an event might want to do it this way. They might prefer a paper map, for example. They might want someone to come and tell them when the session's starting. So how do you overcome that kind of thing?
There is a point where we're reaching a critical mass of people who are using rather than aren't. We supply iPads into conferences. I don't own the technology, but we have suppliers who would bring almost about 2 or 3 years ago 100% iPads, so speakers can take an iPad. In the last year, we reduced that to 50 iPads because people realise they can use their own device. And now we only bring about 25% of iPads, or there are other tablets available, to events. They're mainly iPads because people, it's very intuitive. We do bring extra kit for people who don't want to use it. If I was being really blunt, I'd say cut everything from a conference that reduces the need of people using your app. I walked up here today and the first thing I was asked is, have I downloaded the app? I said no. I was immediately thrust a paper booklet. What's the point? Why would I have an app? I wouldn't. So it is something that's, I think over half of your delegates will expect now there to be an app if there's something that it can do that they haven't been able to do before, and something that's essential to the ingredient of that event. And I think you're going to get more people on it. Don't do badges, don't need badges. I can tell who's on this table right now using location. Lots of money saving exercises there.
I just would like to know what events you've already used this technology at, or maybe you can't tell me the names of events, but as it's an opt-in thing, what percentage of people have opted in, and are you seeing a growth in the percentage rate of people opting in?
Yeah, this has been available for about 3 months, so it hasn't been an inordinate amount of events. We've done 5 active events where people have used it. In the next 3 months, that's gone up to 25, and that's globally. We have a number of clients who use it for sales, kind of an outward-facing profile with their clients, which seems to be a big favour at the moment. And that's really when, you know, maybe you have 500 people coming to an event and you've only got 50 specialists from your company, and they need to find out where everyone is at one time. We've got meeting setting tools, so you can arrive at an event and say, I want to meet with this person, this person, this person, this person, and we'll arrange those meetings for you and find out where that person is at any one time. So I think it's where we've got clients who are going to events where they don't necessarily know the venue very well, when the venue is large and maybe like a rabbit warren, I can name a few, but really where they need to keep track of their delegates. And that data for them is essential, that they know where these people are, but also can see where they've been throughout a 3 or 4 day conference before them by their profile.
install this technology into a venue, who actually owns the data then, or is this, so does the data belong to the organiser, or does the data belong to the venue if the venue is providing the technology?
Yeah, good question. We feel that this technology should be pre-installed into venues, so we are already installing into 5 main venues in London. I'm not sure I can tell you if it's being webcast, but come up to me afterwards and I'll tell you where they are. I think the venue should have permanently installed IP, because I think it's just one of those things like wireless networks, where people can come along. The client doesn't necessarily have to pay for an install of IP because they're already in there. And then the venue has an app available for clients that uses those IP keys. And right now, the only app that uses IP keys for this kind of technology is ours. So the field is quite small, but we're offering our app to venues, so they have a real need for an app to be able to navigate around their venue. Each venue is asked for different bits of the data from us, and we're having to make individual agreements with those venues. So a large exhibition venue in the Docklands area would like to know how particular delegate types walk around their exhibitions, no matter whether it's their app that they're using or that app is reskinned as a part of an exclusive venue hire. They require data of this particular type, and any client that signs up to it knows that they all know, they don't know names, they just know the position of this person and where they walked around the venue, and that's all they want. Other venues are slightly more interested in how long people spend in the coffee area, or how long people are spending in other areas. But it will vary from venue to venue, and it's just something that the client has to be made aware of when they sign up to the app. But in our system, the delegate owns their own profile. Delegates can choose to delete themselves off the app at any time. You keep the data about the profile and where they've walked. Just any kind of name, contact details, or anything gets deleted from our database.
We've got time for one more question if anyone's got one.
Just on a holistic point, I'm just conscious that big, companies like Google Hangouts, Google Maps, are kind of, are they educating us on how to use technology for our industry, or are we kind of leading ourselves? I wonder whether they're overtaking us in our own sort of event technology, or whether it's best for this technology to come out from the industry itself.
Yeah, I used to be. We placed ourselves in this area. I don't think there's an area in the event sector which is called this digital event world, hybrid events, whatever you want to call them. But it's a vast field. We have clients coming to us saying, well, we've used Microsoft this, or link up that, and we want you to run an event like that because we can't do it ourselves. We're running events using people's own video conferencing facilities and actually hosting a managed video conferencing event. And that's where you have tech companies that provide a system for a large organisation, and they don't know how to use it because it's run by their IT team. That's, I think, where we're having a lot of we're hitting brick walls with clients saying, oh, we've used Google Hangouts, we've used this, and we've tried to have teleconferences, but it just hasn't worked. We haven't had the support. But if you get an event company to run a video conference, it's one of the best video conferences you're ever going to have, because you'll have as much thought and effort put into the content and the detail of that. We can link up to 100 video conferencing units around the world. If you have the thought and effort put into that as you would to any event with that number of people, then it's going to run nicely. So it's a good thing and it's a bad thing.